Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, February 13, 2020. Join us for the next 45 minutes as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and live via streaming worldwide through UNTV News and Rescue Facebook account and UNTVweb.com. I am William Theo.
And here are the headlines.
Coronavirus death toll in Hubei province leaps as China refines diagnostic methods. President Rodrigo Duterte appeals to the public to be calm and vigilant amid the novel coronavirus threats in the country. Malacanang not threatened by possible retaliatory attacks after imposing a travel ban on Taiwan. U.S. President Donald Trump says he does not mind if the Philippines cuts military pact with the U.S. A lawmaker proposes to conduct a Senate probe on ABS-CBN's compliance with its franchise. And Manila City launches a musical dancing fountain in front of the Bonifacio Shrine.
The Chinese province at the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak reported a record rise in the death toll on under a new method for diagnosing cases.
And health experts warn the epidemic could get worse before it gets better. Here's Stephanie Z to tell us why.
Health officials in Hubei province said 242 people had died from the novel coronavirus disease on Wednesday, the fastest rise in the daily count since the pathogen was identified in December, and bringing the total number of deaths in the province to 1,310. The previous record rise in the toll was 103 on February 10. The grim new tally came a day after China had reported its lowest number of new coronavirus cases in 2 weeks, bolstering a forecast by the country's senior medical advisor that the epidemic could end by April. But the 2015 new confirmed cases reported in mainland China on Wednesday were dwarfed by the 14,840 new cases reported in Hubei alone on Thursday, after provincial officials started using computerized tomography or CT scans to look for infections. Officials in Hubei said they were broadening their definition for COVID-19 cases by including people clinically diagnosed with the virus in the daily tally. This means officials can use lung imaging on suspected cases to diagnose the virus rather than the standard nucleic acid tests.
The diagnosis of a disease depends on various factors. For example, the medical history, symptom, physical signs, laboratory tests, namely nucleic acid test and CT imaging. When we put this together, we can give patients a clinical diagnosis. As a clinician, we cannot only stress the importance of nucleic acid test or that of CT images. Actually, all the factors from medical history to tests and CT images are important. We should analyze all of them and then make a comprehensive diagnosis.
The new testing methodology is only being used in Hubei province so far. Meanwhile, Asian stock markets wobbled and the safe havens of the Japanese yen, gold and bonds rose after the new Hubei numbers dashed, hoping that the epidemic was stabilizing and the Chinese economy could bounce back quickly. Results from Chinese trials testing a combination of antiviral drugs used to treat HIV against the new coronavirus are due in weeks, but experts say a vaccine could still be months away. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus warned any apparent slowdown in the spread of the epidemic could be viewed with extreme caution.
This outbreak could still go in any direction.
Hundreds of infections have been reported in more than 24 other countries and territories, but only 2 people have died from the virus outside mainland China, one in Hong Kong and another in the Philippines. The biggest cluster of cases outside China is on a cruise ship quarantined off the Japanese port of Yokohama, where a further 44 cases were reported on Thursday. So far, 219 of about 3,700 people on board have tested positive. There was a happy ending for another cruise ship, the MS Westerdam, which docked in Cambodia after being denied docking rights in Thailand, Japan, Taiwan, Guam, and the Philippines over fears one of its 1,455 passengers and 800 crew might have the virus, even though none had tested positive. United Airlines said it would extend cancellations of all U.S. flights to China through late April, meaning all U.S. passenger carriers flying to China had now canceled flights into late April. The Mobile World Congress, an annual telecoms industry gathering that draws more than 100,000 visitors to Barcelona, was canceled on Wednesday after a mass exodus by exhibitors due to coronavirus-related concerns. Another big event to be cancelled, moved, or postponed was the Formula One Chinese Grand Prix, originally set for Shanghai on April 19. Hong Kong extended the suspension of schools till at least March 16 in a bid to contain the spread of the coronavirus in the city, where 50 cases have been confirmed. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
President Rodrigo Duterte appeals to everyone to be calm, vigilant, and responsible as he assures there is no need to panic amid threats of the coronavirus disease 2019. He also calls for unity among Filipinos. Rosalie Cos clarifies why.
As the world faces threats of the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19, President Rodrigo Duterte reminds the public to be more careful on information they obtain about COVID-19. Instead, the public should rely on verified information from the World Health Organization as well as from government agencies for health updates.
I call on our people to remain calm, vigilant, responsible, and I also ask your trust and cooperation. Support as we face the challenge. Tayo ay magkaisa, together as one nation. This challenge can be overcome.
The president also confirms there's still no evidence of local transmission in the country.
As of now, there are only 3 confirmed cases of COVID-19 infection. None of those infected is a Filipino national. There is no evidence yet of local community transmission here in our country.
He also reminds the public to practice proper hygiene to prevent the spread of the virus.
Hugasan yung kamay frequently, yung paulit-ulit. Kung every handshake mo, kung may umatsing ka, takpan mo bunganga mo. At tingnan mo at hindi ka makahawa sa ibang tao. Kung ikaw naman ay may ubo, magmask ka na lang.
The chief executive also assures overseas Filipino workers in lockdown areas in China the Philippine government is working on bringing them home.
To our kababayans who remain in lockdown areas in China, I assure you that the government is ready to bring you home if you want. Hindi naman kayo papaboyan.
The government, together with the World Health Organization, medical societies, and partners in the private sector, is addressing the challenges and preparing for the worst. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Local airline carriers are urged to add more domestic flights due to canceled flights prompted by the travel ban imposed by the Philippine government. Airport authorities report there has been a significant drop in the number of air passengers this month. Joanano tells us why.
The Manila International Airport Authority or MIAA met with local airline operators yesterday to discuss the impact of the travel ban due to the novel coronavirus. According to some airline companies, they have observed around 80% drop in forward flight bookings since the COVID-19 outbreak began. Based on MIAA's record, there has been a significant drop in the number of passengers this month since the imposition of the travel ban on China, Hong Kong, and Macau compared with the figures last year. The volume of passengers has plunged to around 60% since Taiwan's inclusion in the Philippines' expanded travel ban. Only a few passengers were seen at MIAA Terminal 3 earlier today. There were no long queues at the check-in counters. Around 50 round-trip flights to and from China, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan were cancelled today. Because of this, local airline carriers are urged to add domestic flights to replace the cancelled flights.
Marami tayong reduction in terms of frequency. So we have available slots, so we have available capacity. So we're asked to meet with the local carriers na kung pwede nila magkaroon ng to prime up the domestic tourism. Since we have the available capacity, yung extra aeroplano nila gamitin sa local tourism. Yung mga airlines naman ay tinanggap nila na they're gonna look into it.
The Civil Aeronautics Board, the agency in charge in approving flight schedules, says that the replacements of domestic flights may begin next week. For now, they are just waiting for airline carriers to submit their formal request for them to cope with their losses. This could also help in promoting local tourism, which is also affected by the COVID-19 scare.
Ang domestic aviation sector is deregulated, meaning it is open skies. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, any local airline can operate any destination in the Philippines. They need to secure the necessary terminal clearance at saka runway slot clearance.
Joanna Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Malacanang denies that President Rodrigo Duterte is imposing a travel ban on Taiwan because of the One China policy. According to the presidential spokesperson, the safety of the Filipinos is the major consideration amid the coronavirus disease 2019 outbreak. Meanwhile, the palace is not worried about the threat of Taiwan to impose retaliatory measures such as the cancellation of the visa-free entry for Filipinos.
Each country has the right to react on any act perceived or taken by them as against its own interest. So what can we do about it? Tayo rin may sarili ding interest na inaalagaan, ang interest ng kalusugan at kaligtasan ng ating mga kababayan. We understand where the reaction is coming from, but they should also understand why we're doing it.
Meanwhile, Research Institute for Tropical Medicine accredits 4 big hospitals capable of running and testing samples from persons under investigation for COVID-19. Meanwhile, the Health Department assures PUIs in health facilities have no severe illnesses. Aiko Miguel details why.
The Department of Health recorded today 33 additional persons under investigation or PUIs. The cumulative total of PUIs in the country has increased to 441 in 15 regions, 230 of which are admitted and isolated in hospitals and are continuously monitored by the DOH. According to Health Undersecretary Eric Domingo, no PUI in the country is experiencing severe pneumonia or any other severe illnesses.
So far, all of our cases have mild illness. Talagang konting lagnat, ubo ang most common, but no severe illness.
252 of the PUIs have tested negative for COVID-19. 208 of them have been discharged from health facilities. According to World Health Organization Country Representative Dr. Rabindra ABS-CBN, WHO wants the Philippines to have a wider scope and faster capability to release confirmatory tests from the samples of PUI, so they have sent test kits to the country.
But increasing capacity of countries to rapidly diagnose cases by sharing the relevant reagents for the PCR testing. Enough reagents for 1,500 tests. We are already processing the next order.
According to Undersecretary Domingo, they test 80 to 100 samples or specimens daily. Lab results or confirmatory tests are released within 12 to 24 hours. They test a sample twice to make sure each PUI is COVID-19 free. The Research Institute for Tropical Medicine or RITM has accredited 4 big hospitals capable of running and testing samples. The 4 sub-national reference laboratories are Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao City, Vicente Soto Soto Memorial Medical Center in Cebu City, San Lazaro Hospital in Manila City, and Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center. Rapid test kits validated by RITM are expected to be made available to Level 2 and Level 3 hospitals in the Philippines by next week. The DOH assures it has enough medical supplies and personal protective equipment or PPEs in health facilities. But the DOH hopes the government could give them a 2 billion pesos supplemental budget as soon as possible for COVID-19 case management and for purchasing supplies for hospitals.
Siguro mga 1 to 2 months kaya naman natin pa. No? Kaya lang kailangan na nating bumili talaga.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
9 patients under investigation in Cordillera have been discharged from the hospital. Meanwhile, several schools in Bulacan province hold their flag ceremonies inside classrooms. Mirasol Abugadil tells us why.
In the Cordillera Administrative Region, 9 patients under investigation have been discharged from the hospital after testing negative for the coronavirus disease 2019. However, they will be continuously monitored according to the Department of Health in the region.
Even if they're out already of the hospital, they would still observe the strict infection prevention.
In Bulacan, schools will not hold flag ceremonies on the school campus grounds. Instead, they will be held inside classrooms. This is part of the Department of Education's order, aside from avoiding field trips and large school gatherings. The order aims for the safety of the school community from the novel coronavirus.
Sa ngayon po ay hindi muna kami nagpa-flag ceremony. Sa classroom na lang po. Pag Lunes kami classroom based na po ngayon ang flag ceremony.
Kasi napalaki ng chance na pumalit ng virus kapag merong close contact sa maraming tao.
Rubbing alcohol and hand sanitizers have been made available in classrooms. There are wash areas outside the classrooms too. Several schools have acquired thermal scanners. Students who feel unwell or manifest fever are sent home. And in Masbate Province, a 59-year-old female and a girl who both arrived from Hong Kong are under observation in a hospital in Masbate City. The two did not manifest symptoms of COVID-19 when they arrived in the country, so authorities let them proceed to their destination in Palanas Town. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Oscar Acuestas says the two are now isolated in the hospital. Health workers await the swab test results of the two, which will come from the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV News and Rescue.
A company in China built two 360-degree disinfecting system and claims to clean people within 20 seconds. Dulce Alarcon reports.
Walking through a green plant amid foggy air and standing inside a misty tunnel are now new options for people in Chongqing, central China, to get disinfected before starting work. A company in the southwestern Chinese city of Chongqing said it built two sterilizing systems within 2 days to spray workers at an industrial complex with disinfectant before they start work. The tunnel is equipped with infrared detectors that activate a spray from misters when a person enters. It takes 10 to 20 seconds to spray a person. A manager of the company said the mist is produced by medical disinfectant and has a motor to pump out the liquid when needed. The two disinfectant facilities can meet at least the need of 1,000 people. China reported on Wednesday its smallest number of new coronavirus cases since January, lending weight to a prediction by its top medical advisor for the outbreak to end by April. But a global disease expert warned of the spread of the virus elsewhere in the world. Dulce Alarcon, UNTV News and Rescue, China.
Japan today confirmed its first coronavirus death. According to Health Minister Katsunobu Kato, the victim was a woman in her 80s living in Kanagawa Prefecture, which borders on Tokyo. Welcome back. Contrary to his defense chief's earlier remarks, U.S. President Donald Trump admits he does not mind the Philippines terminating its visiting forces agreement with the United States. Malacanang, meanwhile, says other military pacts with the U.S. may also be scrapped. Rosalie Cos details why.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he does not mind Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to end a 2-decade-old military agreement, a position at odds with that of his defense secretary, who viewed the move with dismay. President Duterte on Tuesday announced the termination of the Visiting Forces Agreement, or VFA. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper calls the decision unfortunate as Washington and its allies press China to abide by international rules in Asia. The U.S. Embassy in Manila, on the other hand, calls it a serious step with significant implications. President Duterte's decision, sparked by the revocation of Senator Ronald De La Rosa's U.S. visa, takes legal effect in 180 days. U.S. officials, however, have expressed hope it can be reversed or delayed.
I really don't mind if they would like to do that. That's fine. We'll save a lot of money.
When asked about President Duterte's move and whether anything could be done to get him to reconsider, the U.S. president said,
My views are different than other people.
Trump cited the United States had helped the Philippines defeat Islamic State militants.
And my relationship, as you know, is a very good one with their leader, and we'll see what happens. They'll have to tell me that.
Malacanang welcomes the U.S. president's statement, though the presidential spokesperson is unsure if Trump is serious about it.
By terminating it, we show them that we do not need them.
Meanwhile, since President Duterte is determined to strengthen the Philippines' defense capability by not relying on other countries, it seems like the country's other military agreements with the U.S. may also be scrapped. One of this is the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, an executive agreement allowing the U.S. to construct and upgrade its facilities, as well as to store and preposition its defense and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief equipment. Another is the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, in which the Philippines and the U.S. agreed to defend each other against external armed attacks.
To be consistent with his stand, then all treaties must go by the tone of his body language. Kasi pag sinabi mo na we have to stand on our own, not rely, ibig sabihin, we'll have to strengthen our own resources. Hindi natin kailangan ng ibang bansa.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Meanwhile, a lawmaker in the upper chamber wants to look into the compliance of ABS-CBN Corporation with its existing franchise. Senate President Vicente Soto III will call for a caucus on Monday to discuss the proposed inquiry. Harleen Delgado reports why.
Senator Grace Poe has filed a resolution that seeks to look into the compliance of ABS-CBN Corporation with its franchise. In Senate Resolution number 322, Poe says the probe aims to determine ABS-CBN's compliance with the terms and conditions of its 25-year-old franchise or Republic Act 7966, granted on March 30, 1995. An oversight committee on public services headed by Poe will lead the probe. Some senators support the proposal.
Yung Senate inquiry, iba naman ang pakay in aid of legislation para baguhin ang franchise law, para baguhin yung mga telecoms at NTC Act.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian meanwhile clarifies the proposed inquiry is different from the actual Senate hearing on ABS-CBN's application for franchise renewal, which has yet to be transmitted by the House of Representatives. 11 proposals for the renewal of ABS-CBN's franchise are pending at the lower chamber. The senator says the committee report from the probe may include recommendations that will help Senate to further decide once it acts on the proposed franchise.
This is a good venue para makita natin kung merong katotohanan talaga yung kanilang mga allegations. This is the check and balance process. No? Hindi lang naman ABS ang nagpaparenew ng mass media franchise. Ang aming radio station nagpaparenew. And this is the check and balance power ng Kongreso.
This is also supported by Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, who says it is the Congress and not the Supreme Court that has jurisdiction to review ABS-CBN's compliance with its franchise. But for Senator Panfilo Lacson, the proposal should be discussed first in caucus, as it may violate the sub judice rule now that the Supreme Court has asked the company to file its comment within 10 days. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
PNP Chief Archie Gamboa reiterates to the public that information on the more than 300 cops allegedly included on the president's narco list still needs to be verified. He admits, however, that he was insulted when reports that say Police Lieutenant Jovi Espinido is on the list. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police Brigadier General Archie Gamboa continues to keep mum on the alleged involvement of Police Lieutenant Colonel Jovi Espinido in illegal drugs. Espinido has been relieved from his post as Deputy Chief for Operations in Bacolod. He has been transferred to the office of the PNP Chief on floating status. Gamboa admits he feels insulted by reports that identifies Espinido as one of the 357 policemen undergoing adjudication process because of alleged involvement in illegal drugs. Last Monday, he requested the media not to mention any names of the 357 PNP personnel included on President's narco list. This is because the list and information need verification through the adjudication process.
Nakiusap naman ako, di ba? Nakiusap ako na wag na sana nating tingnan yung mga personalities and you know the intention, no? And then here comes the issue of Rambo. I feel insulted.
Of the 357 policemen, 15 have signified they will avail optional retirement. 43 of them have gone AWOL. The adjudication team will investigate only the remaining 299, including 2 brigadier generals. As for the 2 one-star generals, both have already been adjudicated and cleared since the time of former PNP chief and now Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. As a matter of fact, they have been promoted like Lieutenant Colonel Espinido.
So, all of these things are considered. Yung mga dati na na-evaluate, actually, may mga ganyan na cases, no? Kaya nga ayoko magsalita about the 357 in details, lalo na when we touch on personalities, no? Because it's a very complex process.
Espinido is one of the poster boys of the government's war on drugs because of the deaths of some mayors allegedly involved in illegal drugs trade under his anti-drug operations. His name became famous when Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa was killed in an operation when he was the chief of police of Albuera. Espinido was the Ozamis chief of police when Mayor Reynaldo Paruhinog and other members of the family were killed in a raid in their house in Ozamis City. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Senate Committees on Public Services and Local Government approved today a consolidated bill that seeks to legalize the operations of motorcycles for hire in the country. Senate Bill number 1341 aims to amend the 55-year-old Land Transportation and Traffic Code, which prohibits motorcycles to be used as public utility vehicles. Under the said bill, motorcycles, PUVs, should weigh less than 1,000 kilograms, can travel faster than 50 kilometers per hour, has a minimum engine displacement of 125 cubic centimeters, and a backbone-type build. Public Services Committee Chair Senator Grace Poe says that the country is inching closer to having a law that will make motorcycle taxis a part of the public transportation system.
This year, anyone who has plans to disturb firefighters during their operation will have second thoughts of doing so. The fireman's job will also get broader beginning this year. Ray Pelayo explains why.
Firefighters will soon hold not only water hose, but also a weapon during their operation beginning this year. This, as the Department of the Interior and Local Government aims to arm firemen. DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya says they need 900 million pesos to buy 9mm pistols for almost 30,000 BFP personnel. The official adds this is not a new thing for firefighters.
Nung araw parte ng PC yan Philippine Constabulary. At nung araw may mga baril sila.
The official also notes there will be no legal issues in arming the firefighters.
Dineklara po ng ating Pangulo around 2 years ago yung state of emergency in the entire Philippines, no? Proclamation number 55. So, since the country is in a state of emergency, pwede po natin gamitin yung provision ng batas ng yon as legal basis to arm itong ating mga bombero.
The official explains firefighters can now perform their jobs better as they will not be disturbed by fire victims.
Magdadalawang isip yung mga gustong makialam sa ginagawa ng bombero dahil nga meron silang armas.
MIAA further says they will draft the guidelines of the scope of the firefighters' role in helping maintain peace and order in the country. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Several police officers will undergo a public safety officer's basic course. This is for them to qualify in the first step towards job promotion. Lea Ilagan tells us why.
32 policemen in Camp Crame failed the physical fitness test and body mass index or BMI evaluation this morning in the Philippine National Police Headquarters. Of the 86 policemen who underwent testing, 32 were found overweight while 5 are obese. Those who failed shall take a public safety officer's basic course to lose their weight.
Pag hindi ka umabot dun sa BMI mo mismo, you will not be allowed to file your promotion, which is the very first step in a promotional process.
General Gamboa adds aside from maintaining peace and order in the community, policemen also need to take care of their health to be able to perform their jobs well. PNP personnel welcomed the PNP chief's new order.
Yung prinsipyo na healthy lifestyle ay isa pong at naniniwala din kami na bilang pulis yung bang health is wealth, parang yun ang isang motto para magabayan din kami. Maganda yung magserbisyo na magaan.
Dati mataba po ako. So, prepare ko talaga yung sarili ko since kasi promotable po kami. So, nag-diet po para tsaka disiplina.
Lea Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Motorists passing through the Ross Boulevard Bay area need not fear anymore that their vehicles could be hit by garbage during the typhoon and habagat season. Meanwhile, an environment official believes the fecal coliform level of the Manila Bay water will greatly decrease once the sewage treatment system along Rojas Boulevard is completed. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
It can't be denied that since the Manila Bay Rehabilitation Project started last year, visible changes can be seen in the Bay Area along Rojas Boulevard in Pasay City and Baseco Beach in Manila City. But aside from regular cleanup drives in these two locations, Environment Undersecretary Benny Antiporda says the Task Force for Manila Bay Rehabilitation is also preparing for the typhoon and habagat season, where tons and tons of garbage is washed ashore and sometimes hit vehicles traversing Rojas Boulevard when there's strong wind. That is why a 2,500-meter-long trash boom has been laid in the Bay Area since January 20. The laying out of trash booms is expected to be finished on March 19.
Mula puro sa breakwater patungo rito sa may Manila Yacht Club ay magkakaroon po ng trash boom dyan na ang basura po ay hindi na ho makakapasok dito sa Baywalk area. So sakali man pong may maligaw na basura, meron pong maglilinis sa gitna ho mismo ng dagat.
Undersecretary Antiporda adds the sewage water treatment plant is also almost complete. It is located near Manila Yacht Club along Rojas Boulevard. The three outfalls or canals in the Rojas Boulevard Bay area are connected to the sewage treatment plant. All wastewater from creeks near Rojas Boulevard flows to these three outfalls.
Yung tatlo po ay hinarang at ginawan po ng tubo patungo sa isang malaking sewage treatment plant kung saan daraan doon lahat ng tubig para ma-filter at malinis bago ito pakawalan sa karagatan.
Antiporda believes that when the sewage treatment plant starts its operation, the fecal coliform level of the water in Manila Bay will decrease significantly. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Y News continues. In a press briefing today, the Department of Justice prosecution panel explained why they cleared Vice President Leni Robredo and several others of sedition raps filed by the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group. But despite the dismissal of the sedition raps, they found enough evidence to charge former Senator Antonio Trillanes and 10 others with a lower crime. Dante Amento tells us why.
The Department of Justice panel of prosecutors explains why it resolved to dismiss the sedition charges against Vice President Leni Robredo and 30 other respondents, to include opposition senators Risa Ontiveros, Leila de Lima, and former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV, and Peter Jomel Advincula alias Bicoy. DOJ state prosecutors say there is simply no probable cause to indict Robredo and the other respondents over the complaint filed by the PNP-CIDG. The panel found the element of public and tumultuous uprising wanting. There was also no pronouncement which tended to incite people to take up arms or rise against the government.
As to the other respondents who were not charged, walang corroborative evidence na magpipinpoint sa kanila other than the allegations of Bicoy. Unlike the other respondents who were charged, na makikita natin na mayroong mga ebidensya.
Meanwhile, Senior State Prosecutor Olivia Torribillas adds the panel found sufficient evidence to charge Trillanes and 10 others for conspiracy to commit sedition. These include the production and publication of Bicoy's Ang Totoong narco-list video series, which contain libelous imputations against the president and his family members receiving payoffs from drug syndicates.
Number one, the production of Bicoy videos. Second, the uploading. Third, the press conferences. The coming out of Asierto, linking the president and his family to illegal drug syndicate.
Charges against Trillanes and cohorts were filed with Quezon City Metropolitan Trial Court, which may issue the corresponding warrants of arrest soon. The DOJ prosecutors recommended 10,000 peso bail for each of the respondents. Conspiracy to commit sedition is punishable under Article 141 of the Revised Penal Code and carries a penalty of 6 months to 6 years imprisonment. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue, City of Manila.
And for the news abroad, heavy rain caused flooding along the eastern coast of Australia on Thursday, with New South Wales and Queensland seeing rivers and creeks overflowing, inundating roads and homes. Once in the midst of drought, New South Wales police warned there would be more rain over the coming days and told people to heed the warnings about floodwater. A Category 2 cyclone Wessie is also traveling towards Lord Howe Island, 600 kilometers off the New South Wales coast, which will bring strong winds and further rain. Italy's Senate has voted to allow prosecutors to put far-right leader Matteo Salvini on trial over charges of holding migrants at sea. Meanwhile, a U.S.-led patrol came under fire in northern Syria after a confrontation with pro-Syria troops at the checkpoint and returned the fire in a rare encounter between American and regime forces. Kath Dumaraos details why.
In Syria, Syria's state news agency SANA said one civilian was killed and another wounded when U.S. forces opened fire on people after their vehicles were stopped at a checkpoint in the village of Kerbat Amo, east of Kamishli, on Wednesday. The U.S.-led coalition fighting Islamic State militants said its troops opened fire after they came under small arms fire. Syrian TV showed footage of what it said were residents responding to U.S. troops and a man facing American soldiers asking them to leave the village. The coalition said in a statement the situation had calmed down and the patrol had returned to the base with only one person slightly injured. Earlier, Syrian and Turkish media said U.S. warplanes had carried out at least one airstrike subsequently. The coalition statement made no reference to any airstrike.
In Italy, Italy's Senate has formally authorized a criminal case against Matteo Salvini, the far-right leader accused of kidnap last year, when, as interior minister, he prevented 131 migrants from disembarking from a Coast Guard ship. Last December, the Italian Court of Ministers in Catania, Sicily, ruled that Salvini should be tried for allegedly depriving the asylum seekers on board the Gregoretti Coast Guard ship of their liberty by refusing to allow them to leave. At the end of a heated debate, the majority of the senators voted to lift Salvini's immunity and authorize the trial. Salvini, the head of Italy's League Party, who was serving as interior minister at the time, could eventually face up to 15 years in jail if found guilty and could also bar him from political office. And in Spain, Spanish police on Wednesday arrested Emilio Lozoya, the former chief executive of Mexico's state oil firm Pemex, giving Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's government its first high-profile win in his government's anti-corruption drive. Lozoya, who has not been seen publicly since the middle of last year, is accused in Mexico of corruption related to a wide-ranging bribery and money laundering case involving Brazilian construction firm OUTBREAK. He has always denied wrongdoing. Lozoya, who was indicted in Mexico last year, was one of former President Enrique Peña Nieto's closest aides and ran Pemex from 2012 to 2016. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna were buried last week in Orange County at a private family service. Death certificates obtained by USA Today Sports state their burial took place Feb 7. Bryant, 41, and Gianna, 13, were laid to rest at Pacific View Memorial Park in Corona del Mar. A public memorial for Kobe and Gianna and the 7 other victims involved in the helicopter crash that took their lives is planned for Feb 24 at Staples Center. Owning a piece of valuable art doesn't only have to be for the ultra-wealthy. Now you can buy a share on it. Beverly Sison will tell us why.
Two-year-old company buys artwork with profit potentials and then sells shares in the pieces to its customers using an online platform.
So this is an asset class that we think is very interesting. It's $1.7 trillion in total value. If you look at certain segments of the art market, it's outperformed other major asset classes like the S&P, but historically there hasn't been a good way for anyone to invest in it.
Lynn said their company is the first company that allows anyone to invest in multi-million-dollar paintings. The company separates artwork into 2 segments: blue chip pieces with high single-digit or low double-digit returns and low risk by artists like Monet, Picasso, and Warhol, and moderate risk living artists who Lin said can perform at 12 to 20% per year. Customers sign up on the Masterworks website, pick a piece of art, and decide how many shares they want to buy in it, with minimum starting at $1,000. For instance, Monet's Coup de Vent painting, valued at $7 million, has a couple thousand investors right now, according to Lin, who expects the number to grow to several thousand by the time Masterworks decides to sell it to a collector, hopefully for a higher price, and share profits with its clients. The company charges 1.5% a year and 20% of future profits. Vespula Capital founder Jeff Tomasulo said he likes the idea, but it comes with a caveat.
When it's very unique, there's demand for it. So you do have that appreciation, but you also have the risk of losing all your money, right? If you buy this painting for $1 million and then 10 years later they want to sell and they only could sell it for $740, you can still lose money on it.
Beverly Sison, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Manila city government launches a musical dancing fountain right in front of the Bonifacio Shrine. Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso assures the public that not a single centavo was spent from the public fund. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
Jones Bridge, Behan Garden, These are but a few places in Manila City that now attract visitors since the local government started its beautification campaign. Many people, especially the Manileños, rejoiced when the long-neglected Bonifacio Shrine was washed and cleaned after the city mayor took office in July last year.
Na pinamahayan nila ng 6 na taon. Sa tabi mismo ng opisina ng alkalde, ayan pong opisina ng alkalde. O, tapos ito, amoy tae rito. Nagkalat. O ito, sariwa pa. Pag inaalat ka nga naman.
But aside from improving the city and maintaining cleanliness across it, Manila has another spot to be proud of. The musical dancing fountain. Most are at awe with the design of the colorful dancing fountain. The project cost 40 million pesos. Mayor Domagoso assures that the money spent for the project came from donation. The fountain measures 36 by 14 meters with 10 water pump, 111 jets, 232 LED lights, and 22 pieces of three-way speakers.
A few nights ago, when we were testing it, napasigaw yung bata, wow, ang ganda! And that is priceless. That is what you call governance. When you try to make your people happy. When you put a smile on them.
According to Engineer Arman Andres of the City Engineering Department of Manila, the project started October last year and finished in January. For Yorme, it means a lot to beautify the Bonifacio Shrine, which is just a stone thrown away from the office of the city mayor.
If we cannot govern here, then there is no reason or way for us to govern anywhere further in the city of Manila.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
He's Crimea's very own rhinestone cowboy, but instead of a horse, this jeweler has a car, and it's just not any regular car. It's a cabriolet decked out in 400,000 pieces of rhinestone. It took him half a year to create a very shiny car that stops traffic in the capital, Sebastopol. The interior of the car matches the outside, including a studded steering wheel and the gear stick. The owner plans to sell this car, which he says could be used for photo sessions or to simply show off. Anyone interested will have to shell out 1 million ruble or 15,750,000 US dollars. Those are the reasons behind the news, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant soundbites. I am William Theo.
And I am Angelo Castro III. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
I call on our people to remain calm, vigilant, responsible, and I also ask your trust and cooperation. Support as we face the challenge. Tayo ay magkaisa. Together as one nation, this challenge can be overcome.
Each country has the right to react on any act perceived or taken by them as against its own interest. So what can we do about it? Tayo rin may sarili ding interest na inaalagaan, ang interest ng kalusugan at kaligtasan ng ating mga kababayan. We understand where the reaction is coming from, but they should also understand why we're doing it. By terminating it, we show them that we do not need them.
But I really don't mind if they would like to do that. That's fine. We'll save a lot of money.
Yung Senate inquiry, iba naman ang pakay in aid of legislation para baguhin ang franchise law, para baguhin yung mga telecoms at NTC Act.